I'm sorry for starting like that.
Extremely offensive, vulgar, disgusting, abhorrent monster of a man, I would say, is your brand.
I'll lean into that. Yeah, so for those that don't know, obviously it says underneath, but this is Martin Graham. So he's an Ayr boy, went to Belmont, right, a few years above me. Moved to London, is that right?
Yeah.
Does stand-up comedy, has worked with loads of UK TV channels like Dave, directed and wrote comedy like skits with like Ramesh Ranganathan and James Acaster and all that. And one thing I found interesting in a podcast I listened to is you met your wife through crowd work. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she was in an audience and so the MC or one of the acts or someone had already spoken to her, and she'd mentioned that she worked in marketing at the BBC, which is like a similar kind of thing to what I do. And so I've got material about my job that's quite like self-deprecating and about how pointless it is as a job.
Okay.
And so I thought, right, well, I can talk to her a bit and then go into that. And what I ended up doing was talk to her and then turned that material on to her, being like, oh, your job's pointless and stuff. It's funny when it's self-deprecating. It's a bit cruel when you're doing it to someone else.
But she liked it.
She liked it enough she messaged me after it and on LinkedIn of all platforms, which is incredibly inappropriate. Little footnote to this. She was there with her boyfriend at the time. Which I obviously didn't intend to sabotage. I didn't sabotage any relationship. They broke up naturally. And she messaged me a month after the gig. Mm-hmm. She'd like gone to the people that ran the she'd like internet searched all the acts that were on that night and been like, oh, it was that guy. And then she'd hunted me down and found me on LinkedIn and then messaged me asking me out a month later.
Nice.
And now we've got 2 kids.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So awesome. Crowd work. That's my life, is one long bit of crowd work.
That's mad though.
I take my audience very seriously. I'll talk to them. I'll go on a few dates with them. I'll impregnate them.
Are you suspicious when she goes to comedy like on her own now? Don't you fucking speak to her. Checking her LinkedIn messages.
Just looking at the acts that are on that night. She's like, oh, he does crowd work. He's sitting near the front. She's not allowed to go to comedy anymore unless I'm on.
Was it in London?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Dalston, East London.
Dalston, right? Okay, nah. I don't even know any comedy places. I've heard of like the Bill Murray and all that. The one where they do the gong and stuff like that, but I'm not too familiar with them. Have you ever done that Gong Show?
I've done I've done the one at the comedy. I've done the King Gong and the Up the Creek, the Blackout.
Right.
I've beaten the King Gong twice. And I've tried it 3 times. The other time I got to 4 minutes 57, which is you have to obviously get to 5 minutes, and got 3 seconds off. But I was really struggling, and I started a countdown for my last 10 seconds, which was I was done. When I started that countdown, I was like, this will maybe like buy me some time or something. Yeah. What I should have done was pretended that so I looked at my watch and I was like, right, I've got 10 seconds left. Let's do the countdown.
Fucking hell! 2 cards.
2 cards.
Come to it. We got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Another arrogant prick bites the dust. 4 minutes 57 seconds.
Obviously, if I put that, like, the joke there is for the audience member to wait until we're really close to the end and then put the card up. Like, I handed that joke to them. Should have pretended I had 20 seconds left. And
that would have been
then they would have waited. They'd have been like, right, I'll get him when he's got 3 seconds, and then...
That's genius.
But, well, not really that. It's not genius. You don't want to ever find yourself in that situation. If you found yourself in that situation, you're not genius.
Yeah, I can't wait till I bomb next time.
But I beat it twice, which were much better times.
What was the difference, like, when you were bombing? Was it completely different material, or is it just your mood? Or what?
No, it was my attitude. I went up, for some reason I went up really... when I do a scary gig, I don't do it anymore. I'm a lot more comfortable now than when I used to be. This was 2018, this happened. And I used to have a thing where when I did a scary gig, I went up with so much more bravado to like mask
Defensive.
that I was terrified. Yeah. So, and that is the most terrifying room. It's like 400 people and they're all like encouraged to hate you if you're even remotely shit. So like...
A bit like Kill Tony as well. That
Exactly,
kind of stuff.
yeah. And so it's cruel. You shouldn't... It's such a cruel thing that we have to... I mean, you don't have to do it, but it's such a cruel thing that that we do, that we're forced to do. But like they're encouraged to hate you if you're... Even if the like... If you have anything that they just don't... Like, because there's like 30 acts or something at the King Gong, and if all 5 of them did 5 minutes, you'd be there till like 2 a.m.
Okay.
So the MC is like... Just fucking get people off if you don't like them.
Right. Any sign of like weakness or being a dick is gone.
So I went up arrogant, like I'd say so much bravado that I was arrogant. And
what do you do that's like? What do you do different when you're being arrogant? Is it the way you talk? Or?
A bit shoutier, a bit like just a bit more. It was all a defense mechanism because I was terrified.
Yeah. And
I just started and the material was weak. I think I was doing different. So I'd beaten it once at this point, and I wanted to go up and do it whole different set.
Okay.
Beat it again, and then be like, there you go. There's 2 different sets. Blah blah blah. And it was rubbish material, and people just weren't laughing. And, and so I just so I got more shouty and more like trying to force it, and then it was just it was doomed. It was doomed from the second I stepped on the stage. And then the guy, Simon, that runs it, he's like, there's this little guy on the God mic, and he was like, another arrogant prick bites the dust. And that just added, oh man, it's the worst feeling in the world. But no, I haven't done it for a while.
Is that your worst bomb?
In some ways, but I've had worse bombs that were just more uncomfortable.
Okay.
Like silence rather than hatred. Like that was like a loud audience who were like, get him off, oh, he's shit, boo, all of that. Like, you don't get that generally in real gigs. But in real gigs, what I sometimes struggle with is I'm just not connecting with them.
Okay.
I did a gig not that long ago to an audience that were all like well over 60.
Right.
And they, like, I don't, like, not that I'm like a young person, but like the bit of life that I'm in, they're not connecting with my material about, because they, like, the stuff that I'm complaining about or anything, they've like lived through and they've probably got the answers to and all of that. And they're like, oh, I don't really get that. And they're like trying to go with me, but they just can't because they're not. Or like if I make a cultural reference to like a song that they don't know, then they're all out. That I've had gigs like that where I just struggle to connect with the audience, and they probably feel worse because you want to feel like you can handle any audience, even like an over 60s. Like I've done well with them sometimes. And I've kind of come off stage and felt like, I think they all felt like I was like their nice young grandson. But like, I've not, but like those ones are quite hard. I'm trying to think of the worst one I've ever had.
The old crowd I struggle with as well, because writing for Breaking the News, the start of every season I usually write and then I get sick of it because like I listen to it and I'm like, I don't want to like offend any other writers, but there's a lot of like DFS sale jokes and like ScotRail jokes. I'm just like, no, like I can't do that. I just don't find it funny.
Easily pastiched, like, do you know what I mean? Like it's like
I don't actually know what that word means.
Easily like satirized. Like DFS and ScotRail.
It's like mass appeal, which is like obviously it's a talent to write like that, but I don't find that stuff funny, so I really struggle to write like that. But yeah, I think their target audience is, like you're saying, like the over 60s and stuff, and the crowds that are always there are always older ones. So there's jokes about like, sometimes you get the brief and it's like, write about the Scottish Lib Dem leader. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like, what am I meant to write? I'm like, ChatGPT, who is the Lib Dem leader? What are his funny parts? And it's like, nah.
It's tricky. But now that I'm 37 now, I also struggle with the really young audiences now as well.
Okay.
Because I'm up there talking about having kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And, or like if I try and like relate to the younger audiences, I seem even less cool. So like here's fucking granddad trying to be down with the kids.
Yeah. Kind of bro.
So you can't really win. I just have to stick with who I am and just hope that they kind of
find your
into it
audience
for 20 minutes.
Yeah. So speaking of the younger crowd, a couple of my friends wanted to chat about when you were head paper boy.
Oh yeah.
So Graham, Declan, they were a couple of them. I can't remember if Caleb was. Caleb had questions.
Did he?
As well. Yeah, I'll come up with them later. I'll hopefully remember. But there was a game in the paper shop. I helped Graham once because he helped me with mine. And I remember we went in and everyone was like, I think everyone was rushing to get their papers done. And everyone was like shit scared that the lights were going to go off and you get donned with a brush. So what was the story behind that?
So before I was head paper boy,
is it Ross or something?
Yeah, Ross.
Toby said the Ross game. Toby was another one.
It's called, yeah. So there's a guy called Ross that was head paper boy, and he used to do this thing. Like he was a big, scary guy. Like he wasn't like me. He was like a tough guy.
Okay.
And he would like turn the lights off because there were no windows in the place. And it was like 5:30 in the morning or whatever. So it'd be pitch black. He'd grab a broom, turn the lights off, and he'd just go around battering everyone. You had to like hide, and it was like it was fun even though you get battered. And so like I was like when I'm head paper boy, I was like watching it with a little twinkle in my eye. I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be a tough guy, and scare everyone with a broom, and so like it's so funny because it wasn't like. I think there was a head paper boy between me and Ross, a guy called Martin Wham. And he never did any of that, I don't think. But then when it came my reign, I was like, I'm bringing back the Ross game.
The heel turn.
And the heel turn. And I don't think I don't think there were many people there that had been there when Ross did it. So it seemed like it was my thing, which made it even more fun.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't naturally me. Like I'm not a guy that fucking goes about battering people with a broom.
Yeah.
So I'm there like smiley, like, hey guys, let's play the Ross. Turn the lights off. You can stick this up my arse. Like let's
checking if they're okay after every hit.
Yeah, exactly. Too scared to hit it, like fucking apologising, like, sorry, is that okay? Yeah. So I would do it, but it wasn't, it was weird. It didn't feel like it should have felt. I didn't feel like I'd fucking accelerate, like I'd evolved into the alpha of the paper hut. Yeah. I felt like this isn't
Just
right
wasn't
for
you.
me. Yeah. Still gave it a go. But like, it just didn't have the same, like...
How long did you give it a go before you're like,
I don't know, like 3 or 4 times. It's so weird as well, because everyone's trying to do their work. Everyone's trying to get their papers. And I'm like, let's have some fun. Let's turn the lights off, get the broom out. But yeah, no, it was... I still gave it a go. But I don't think anyone was scared of me with the broom.
Right, okay. Graham was saying something about being put in a bin.
Graham got put in the bin a lot, yeah. He might have been there in the Ross era. Right. I don't know, this is very niche chat.
Yeah, it's paperboy chat.
I don't remember much about that guy, that Ross guy. I just remember he was scary.
Where is he now? Is he like in jail or something? Or?
I don't know. I have no idea who he even is.
He seems like the kind of person that just like would end up.
Yeah, I mean, that game was genius. It was like, it was genius for him. It suited him.
Sadistic.
It didn't suit me at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, is everyone okay? Right, let's batter yous.
Yeah.
No one feared me.
So that thing, when you talk about that's not me, and he was like more of a hard guy or like a tough guy or whatever. Because you mentioned that in your stand-up a lot. Is that is that like quite, not quite important, but like, say like growing up in Belmont and Ayr and then moving to London, that's like a big theme of your comedy and stuff?
Yeah, right? I think it's something that that has always been something that didn't quite. I've never been a hard man, but I've always wanted to be seen as a hard man.
Yeah.
And it's just never happened. I've never been cool, and I've always wanted to be seen as cool.
Yeah, oh my
well.
God, I'm such a gimp as well. Yeah,
And I think the harder you try to be cool, the less cool you are.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I've like the masculinity stuff is something that I find it funny as well. Just like dead macho guys that go to the gym and listen to like. At the end of every week. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something wrong. That's not quite, like, you want to listen to, like, metal or something.
Yeah.
But, like, dead macho guys, I don't know, it's just something funny about dead macho guys. I just want to find a chink in the armour of them.
Yeah.
I think that's always what I'm looking for. And whether it's that they listen to, like, that dance music in the gym, or it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm always trying to find something to kind of bring them down a peg.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely.
Just because I'm jealous because I've never been one.
Yeah. Do you think it's, I wonder what it is. I relate to you in that though, with like, no one ever looks at me and goes, oh, he's intimidating or he's cool.
Yeah.
And like my fiance, she's like, people just think, oh, she's fucking cool.
Yeah,
and then there's like me,
and
I'm like a fucking gimp. Listen to fucking like Shaggy and Afro Man and shit. Yours doesn't not run that, but you're the same as me. No, not all the time. Not all the time. Because like High's a tune, by the way.
It is a tune.
But yeah, no, I definitely relate to that. I don't know if it's Ayr. I was going to say about like going to Belmont and Ayr, because Belmont was really mixed. You got like posh, rich people, and then all the way, I was going to say like the complete opposite end where it's like, you know, like in poverty or like always fighting and trouble, whatever. It's quite a levelled upbringing.
Yeah, it was.
So there was that.
Totally.
The West Coast cares about if you're like hard. It seems to be like...
Yeah. It totally does. Yeah, it's weird.
Or did at that age.
Yeah. It's probably something that's trying to like... Because you like impress people with being hard and like...
Yeah.
You get more pals if you're hard and I've just never been hard. And, like, that's probably...
Did you ever have a fight at school and then you were like a celebrity for like a day?
No, never. But I remember, were you at Belmont when they used to have the massive like lunchtime riots? When like...
Is it Moshers v Neds and stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff, yeah.
You were Team Mosher, right?
Of course, man.
Of course.
Yeah. Represent. Those fights were amazing. When like I remember them like fucking Avengers Endgame.
Yeah,
like
it was like, wild.
Everyone was just battering each other. Do you remember Tubby from our year?
Tubby.
Thomas Ferguson, his name was.
I don't think so.
He was a big guy, and obviously hence the nickname. And he was so good at fighting the Neds.
Yeah.
And I still in my mind's eye can see this, right? I'm not sure if it ever really happened, but in my mind's eye I can see it, and it did happen. There were like 5 Neds on his back, and he just went, "Ah!"
Oh yeah.
They all went flying.
It would be amazing if the Hulk was called Tubby.
Yeah. But he was a celeb around the school after that. I remember like the day after that because that was one of those massive lunchtime riot fights that like in my mind's eye the whole playground was just doof, everywhere.
I think I was, because of the age difference, I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't a part of it, but then when we were older there was like shitter versions of it.
Yeah, you're like my type.
But your year was definitely like, just watching the sidelines with my Vans on.
But yeah, like the day after, I still remember as well the day after, like all the Neds were like, and this is just, in my mind's eye, this has been exaggerated, but all the Neds had like their arms in casts and they were like, limping up the stairs and like they all had black eyes and it was all just from Tubby.
Yes.
Oh, it was amazing. He was like he was our big guy.
Absolute hero. What's he doing now?
Don't know. I didn't keep in touch with him.
Look him up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, whatever he's doing, I'm sure he's smashing it.
Yeah. I remember there's a guy, I think he was in here your year, Ryan, it's like Al something.
Al Hader.
Yeah, and I remember we Neds were just running about, like just being wee fannies chasing each other, and he was like standing with his group of pals and he was fucking huge.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
And the wee kids were like, and he just stuck his arm out and clotheslined this guy. And you know in wrestling, he just literally flipped over, just fell flat in his face in the concrete. And Ryan just went like that and just went back to chatting with his pals. I'm like, oh my God, do not fuck with that guy.
It's so funny how our minds like tell that story. And I'm like, there's no way that like
it was probably nothing.
Yeah. But like as a little boy watching a fight, you're like, you just fucking clothesline him.
The clothesline from here.
Yeah. Oh my God, he killed him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, those were good times. Those were amazing.
And around those times as well, so I had a couple of pals that were in the bands.
Yeah.
For a while, they were super talented, especially Air. Obviously, we've had like Biffy Clyro and everything, but there was a few like decent bands like of teenagers.
Yeah,
it's like Hate, like whatever it was like the Hostels, Hate Becomes a Hero, and all that.
This Familiar Smile.
This Familiar Smile. Yeah. Flood of Red, is that another
Red,
one?
they were Airdrie.
Airdrie, right? Okay. And and you were saying. You were the band that they wanted to be, right?
I'm just sorry.
We'll cut that out, right?
We were the band that Hate Becomes the Hero wanted to be.
Was that your rival?
We weren't rivals. I didn't see it as that.
Okay.
We were like, so it was like Paul and Andrew from Hate Becomes the Hero were two of my like school childhood pals. And me, Paul and Andrew had a band first. We had a really shit pop punk band that I insisted on singing in, even though I couldn't sing.
Okay,
everyone was like, Martin can't sing. I was like, just give me a chance, I can.
That'd be a good name for a pop punk band, Martin can't sing.
And I just fucking forced the issue. I was like, no, I can sing.
Okay.
Just let me sing. And everyone was like, oh, you can't sing. And I was like, yeah, you don't know.
You just wanted to, yeah.
So we had a really awful pop punk band. And then...
What were they called?
Martin Can't Sing. We were called, we had lots of names.
Right, okay.
Lloyd for a while. Lloyd, because we met a guy called Lloyd that we found really funny, and we thought we'd call our band Lloyd.
Yeah, like it.
Maybe that was our most significant name. We changed names a lot, because obviously when you're coming up with names like Lloyd, you're not good at coming up with names.
Yeah.
So we changed names a lot and we played in like the church used to put on, the church would hire out like...
Oh, you one of the youth club guys?
I wasn't one of the youth club guys, but like they, Paul, maybe it was Paul's connection with the church, that like they would put on like Friday night youth club event things.
Okay.
And they'd have us play them, and we were like, oh, it's a gig and stuff. So we used to play those. We played...
Is it like the Ark? Then
I played the Ark with my later bands.
Okay.
Space
Place.
Yeah. Played the Space Place. That was great. Loved the Space Place.
Yeah.
That was, oh man, what a place. Did the outside at the Oval Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great.
I got chucked out of that before. I think there was a girl that I liked, and another guy went up like against the barrier and like put his arms around her like that, and she was like, whatever. So I waited till the mosh pit started and just absolutely fucking domed the guy. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, my feet are dangling. The bouncer I had a rucksack on, and the bouncer had like twisted the thing, like the arms up, and just lifted me out, and just like dangling the feet, like so emasculating, like, hello. And that was me chucked out. So I missed, I think it was Biffy or something, drive-by argument, and someone else, I missed them. I was gutted just sitting outside. But yeah, outside the Oval was class.
That was great. Everyone was so shit-faced.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how old we were, like 16, 17.
Right.
Maybe even younger, I don't know. But like everyone just went for it. And yeah, can't imagine having to clean that up, having to manage that.
Yeah. It was a very young crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah. What a mess. But yeah, I played that with my later band. So I was in bands with Paul and Andrew. And then I went and joined what was called a Bittersweet Moment at the time. And that was like Richie Mitchell and Jack Milligan and Nathan Wallace and Ryan Dunlop. Joined that band with them and then played with them for a couple of years, and then we kind of rebranded to Tricks Are for Kids, we were called.
Yeah, that's a class name.
And then sort of alongside that, Paul and Andrew met up with their like Richard Stevenson and all that bunch, and Tom Bray, and made Hate Becomes the Hero. And then so we were kind of like, I guess, I don't know if you'd call them like brother bands, or like we were very close. Like we played lots of gigs with them and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't know if we had a rivalry, but maybe we had a bit of a friendly rivalry, but if we did, they won. They were like, they're the one that people remember now. So
I definitely remember like hearing like the name like Tricks Are for Kids and stuff like that. Hate Becomes Hero stood out to me more because I know like obviously like Richard and Tom Bray and all that, and a couple of their tunes. But yeah, it was good times. It was a good wee scene.
It was great. I loved it. It was such a like going up to Glasgow and playing the Cat House and the Barfly and all of that, and just like selling tickets. And I think that's one of the. That's kind of something that I've carried on through stand up. Like I like performing. And I like that whole side of. I don't know what it is. Just like putting on a show, I guess.
Mm-hmm. You had the mad hair, right?
I had the mad hair.
Yeah. If you've got a funny photo of that, maybe put it in.
Yeah, oh man, it was hideous. It used to got like knotted. It turned into dreadlocks because I didn't like brush it or comb it or anything. Okay. It was hideous. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was like, it was crazy.
I think that's my main memory of you.
It was, those were mad times.
So with the performing bug or whatever, were you always like a fan of comedy or was that like something that came after the music? Or
Yeah. I was always a massive fan of comedy. I used to go up to Glasgow and watch it.
All right.
Yeah, I saw I remember going up and seeing like Bill Burr in 2007 maybe.
He was my favourite group for so long. I've seen him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's great. And like, no, I've always been a massive fan of comedy, but I always thought comedy was something that I couldn't do. Like I thought, it's like these people have a sharper brain than I have.
They're just naturally, they're just speaking. Yeah,
that's it. I fell for the illusion. And then like, it was something that I'd always wanted to try. And I signed up for a course at, what's the college called that's, the one that's like off Buchanan Street.
City of Glasgow or something?
City of Glasgow College. They were doing a night class thing with stand-up. It might have been one of the Viv G things.
Right, okay, yeah, maybe.
They were, like it was like some stand-up comedy course. I signed up for it when I was 16. And then it ended up getting cancelled because the comedian hosting it couldn't make it or whatever.
Right.
And like, yeah, that was when I first wanted to try it, and I wish I'd just tried it somehow back then. But like, you don't really know how to get into it without that kind of like leg up of a course. Or like, as a 16-year-old, I didn't have like the sort of self-starterness to go like, should I just go ask the stand if I can go on or what? I don't even know how you would do it here.
Did you have any material before signing up for the course or like an idea of stuff?
I wrote jokes. I used to write jokes, and God, I hope those notebooks don't exist
anymore. Oh yeah, do you not remember any of them?
I remember them. They were, I don't know if I remember them exactly, but they were so bad. Like I found them years later and I was like, God, I hope no one ever reads them.
So you won't share them, no?
No. Oh, they were horrendous. The thoughts of a 16-year-old wannabe comedian.
Okay. And a Bill Burr fan. So
and a Bill Burr fan, so you're not getting the nuance of like...
Yeah.
But so I had written ideas and stuff, but I never put them to use. And then I didn't start stand up. Like I just always lived my whole life thinking, comedians are amazing.
Yeah.
They think differently from how I think.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that they've just worked at it.
Uh-huh.
Like they've just put the time in and they've learned how to do it, and they've like sharpened their observations over years of like trying stuff that doesn't work and all of that. And then when I was 29, I went and like that's when I started stand up. And it's one of my big regrets that I didn't start when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because
it's quite a while after as well, eh?
Yeah. And it like was the thing that I needed. Like it was the thing that was missing that I would have been. Like it's right for me, I think.
You feel happier when you're doing it, like creative outlet.
Yeah. And I didn't discover that until I was 29. And then it was too late. Then like...
Some people never do. I suppose 29 isn't the worst.
Yeah. Discovered it too late to throw myself into doing it like and pursuing it as a living. I think. But I'm fortunate that I've got a creative job anyway. But like, I would have liked to have discovered it like
had a better run
10
at it
years earlier and really just gone for it.
Yeah, there is a video that I shared in my stories, and it's in the highlight Martin Gale on Instagram, and it's like a 10-minute set at the Stand in Glasgow, right?
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. Honestly, you need to watch that. I'll try not to uncover any stuff like you joke about your dad in this pod, but yeah, I was pissing myself at that. It was really good. Not being like sycophantic, but sometimes you watch like a pal set and you're like, it was good. Especially if you watch a lot of comedy, but this was like very good. I loved it. It was class.
Cheers, man. It was that was right that was like March 3rd, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So like pretty much right before the pandemic. And that was because you used to I don't think it's the same anymore, but if you lived outside of like Scotland or Newcastle, like if you lived down south, the Stand would book you for 10 minutes in each night at each of the Red Raws.
Right, okay.
So you'd go up, you'd do a little tour, you'd do Edinburgh, Glasgow, and then Newcastle.
Okay.
And so I had that booked for like a year in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And like everyone I knew who was like the same time as me had gone up and like done it, and they were like, "It's the best thing you'll ever do.
Yeah.
It's so cool."
Who were you like coming up with?
I knew Vittorio Angeloni had done them at that point. He'd gone up like a couple of months before I went up, and I'd watched him like sort of like do them and stuff, and someone who else like I'm trying to think. So long ago, I can't remember. Louise Bastock, I think, had done them. I don't know.
I don't
but everyone who'd done them reported back that they're the best. They're so much fun. And so I had it in my calendar for a year, and then thank fuck it was March 2020, not April 2020. I'd been booked for, and so I went up and did them, and they were just the best. Like amazing rooms, totally full, lovely audience, like. Rowdy but
so that one film was like a Red Raw, so that was
a Red Raw, yeah.
That was pretty. How long into it was that?
How into me doing stand up? 2 years.
Right. Okay. Oh, it was so good.
I think I started 2017. That was 20. Oh no, it was 2020. 3 years.
3 years, right? Okay.
Yeah. And did them all. Edinburgh one night, Glasgow the next night, Newcastle the next night, and then locked down for the next 7 months or 2 years or whatever it was.
Damn.
So it was so annoying because I was like on such a high from those nights.
Yeah, that would have been like ultimate motivation to keep going.
Yeah, it would have been. It's probably for the best. I'd have like abandoned my whole life and just pursued stand up aggressively had not been COVID.
But you definitely had it. Like, so what about like your current role? Because I was reading, did you start off with the sports stuff and then move into comedy with TV work, right?
Yeah. Started at ESPN.
That's a cool place to start.
It was a cool place. Yeah. It was great fun. It was amazing. We had the Premier League rights, and I used to do all the SPL, the Scottish Premier League promos. Which was great. That was kind of like my main thing. Every week they'd have like the Rangers game or the Celtic game, and I'd like make the promo for that.
Right. Okay.
And have to try and come up with an idea for it. And
so, in terms of like making the promo, are you like storyboarding it and helping direct and film it, or like editing it, or
well, like it varies. So if it's like a big not so much, they didn't really. I think the reason they gave me as an intern the SPL promos was because they thought so low of the SPL that they were like, the intern will make them. But if it's but now, like if I'm doing something, if it's like a high priority or if it's got a bit of budget, I can write something, I can storyboard it, direct it, get like a Ramesh or a James Acaster or whoever along, and
I absolutely love James Acaster.
He's brilliant. He's so good. That was amazing. He was so funny as well. Like on set, he at one point when we were shooting with him, the kind of production manager comes through to the set because he's in the dressing room, and the production manager comes through and she's like, "Is there a runner we can send out for some Rice Krispies? James has asked for some Rice Krispies." And I'm like, "Who is this man?"
Rice Krispies. I can imagine him asking for that in his voice as well.
At like 11 in the morning, like not even like breakfast. He just wanted some Rice Krispies.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah. He's a big foodie, isn't he? Like, no, that was funny. And he was he was great, really good guy. If I get a budget, I can get people a lot. I can do a shoot and I can direct them. I can do. But I have to like sell the idea to the marketing department and to the like channel directors and stuff, and be like, I want to take this person and spin them upside down in a car or whatever.
Okay.
And they've got to be like, does that work for the channel and all of that? And
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you feel the pressure if you're working with other comedians and you're coming up with the idea like, oh, it needs to be funny or scripting it?
So we always have to send them the scripts before we shoot.
Okay.
So we have to send them scripts like a week before we shoot,
Right.
so that they have time to like be like, I would never say this or
Okay.
anything. But none of them have ever cared.
No?
Like they don't care about a little advert on Dave.
Right,
Like
okay,
they're trying to write material for their tour or whatever. So I'm there like, here's the script I've written. Is it okay if like would James say all this? Like even when I was shooting with James Acaster, I had a line that I'd written and I was like, but if you would say that differently, then say it however you want.
Yeah.
And he was just like, no, it's fine. Like
Cool.
he didn't care at all.
He just wanted his Rice
and I'm and so I always have to like send them the scripts and stuff and make sure that they're all cool with them. But like very rarely does anyone ever say anything back.
Yeah.
Because they're just.
And do you find it easier writing for other people and because they've got a strong voice rather than writing for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy. Like I did a lot of Meet the Richardson stuff.
Yeah.
And like to write in like John Richardson's voice is like and the contrast of like him and Lucy, like they both had quite distinct voices and you could write in there like what they would say and you know how one of them would feel about something in relation to how the other one would feel about it, and you can have a bit of conflict there, and you can it's much easier when they've got like in James Acaster, you kind of know sort of how he would act.
Yeah.
But like anything I write, I always say to them like reword it however you want.
James Acaster is an interesting one because I think he's kind of evolving.
Totally, yeah.
Not getting like kind of angrier at the world, maybe a wee bit. I've not seen his latest one where he does the immersive thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like very, I think, different comedy, but akin to like say like Bo Burnham, where he's like very intelligent but can do silly. So I love because he came out with was it like 3 specials in one, just like all of a sudden, and then was working on his next special.
Yeah.
Like the repertoire that was incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff. And his Cold Lasagna, have you seen Cold Lasagna?
Cold Lasagna, I hate myself. Yeah. The Ricky Gervais bit did well.
Yeah, the Rowan Atkinson bit. And that has so many, even like the Bake Off bit when he phoned the Samaritans after he'd been on Bake Off.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Yeah, that special is amazing. It's like solid 20-minute story after solid 20-minute story.
And even starting off saying he hates Christians.
Oh yeah, the Crizzles.
Like Crizzles. Do you think you are good at like identifying, apart from like James Acaster and Romesh and everything, like identifying what someone's voice is? Like, could you help someone that's trying to get into comedy to be like, no, I think this is your voice?
Possibly, yeah. I don't know how kindly they would take to it.
Yeah.
You never want to like overstep the boundaries with advice, so I've never really tried that. But like you can see, I feel like I can see what people are getting at. Yeah.
What am I getting at?
What are you getting at?
I wasn't going to ask this on camera. Fucking nothing. You've got 70 views for a reason. I'm sorry for starting like that.
Extremely offensive, vulgar, disgusting, abhorrent monster of a man, I would say, is your brand.
I'll lean into that. Right. Yeah, I was gonna say because you write like wee ads. It's like, could you help with like an intro or something like that? And I was like, I might be able to do a wee intro, and then I would just put that at the start as if that was the intro. Then we cover later that we actually came up with it later on, if you know what I mean. But we don't have to do that.
Well, you want an intro to the podcast?
Yeah, I never do an intro. I struggle with it. I think it's like just a bit cringe. But I know like the podcast, I started a podcast in my 30s, right? So like the younger podcasts that do well in like Scotland is usually like the kind of the more popular shows I think in Scotland are the kind of brash people, like you're saying, the kind of more aggressive. But there's the kind of Gallus the Gallus Glaswegian does very well in Scotland, I think.
Totally.
But I'm not that.
No, I'm same.
And I think, I don't know if you struggle with stand-up not being like that.
I do, doing stand-up in England, I do, because...
Oh, really? I think it'd be harder up here, that's weird.
Well, I don't do that much up here, so I don't know. But the main thing I know is what English audiences see when I come on stage.
Okay.
And I have to address the accent straight away.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're sitting there going, he's different from us and he hasn't mentioned it. And they all have like a stereotypical idea of what a Scottish person is.
Okay.
They're like, he's like, like drunk and aggressive and like it's so outdated. But like they still think that way. And
especially in comedy, if you're...
Yeah. Because they like think, because everything's kind of exaggerated in comedy. So they see me come on stage and I have to address the accent first, which is always annoying. But if I don't, and because my accent as well, I've lived in England for 14 years.
Yeah.
I'm half American anyway. My accent isn't the strongest Scottish accent.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're sitting there going, is he Irish? Is he Scottish? Like,
right,
so
okay.
I have to like, because that's going to distract them from the material if I don't address that.
Does it feel hack? Is that why it bothers you?
It just bothers me that like, I have to start every set with it. Like,
yeah.
Because I've like, I'm trying to, if I'm doing new material, I forget all that and I just try and go straight into some idea or something. Or like I'll do a bit that I know works so that I can kind of take off and then jump into the new stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't mention the accent in those. But like it annoys me that anytime I'm doing a club set or anything, the first thing I have to mention is the accent.
Okay.
Because like it's kind of what makes me different as well.
Yeah.
Which is weird because if I did stand up here, I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not different.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do stand up down south, and it would be easier up here because I can be the guy that I am. So, but down south, I have to mention that I'm a Scottish guy.
Okay.
Then I have to try and get them, like walk them away from the stereotype of a Scottish guy because I'm not really I'm not rough, I'm not like boozy or whatever they think. Like, because they're all like, I do a lot of gigs in like little villages outside London. And they're all just, they have this idea that the Scots are so rough and all of that shit.
Yeah.
And I have to kind of be like, I'm Scottish, but I'm not, I'm different. I'm like you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not mental. And so, I find that quite annoying that every set has to start. I don't really know if there's a solution to that, if I can...
Is it just building your own audience so you can do stuff?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but anytime I do a club, like they're not there to see me, they don't know who I am, so I've got to kind of just
start
go
from
out
scratch
and be like, it's tell by my accent, whatever, everything. So that's quite frustrating because I'd rather just get into material and all of that, but I've got to kind of be like, yep, Scottish,
And do you find, when you're writing material, do you find it funny as you're writing it? Or do you like, are you like a handwriter, computer writer, or do you just like think of stuff?
Stuff comes to me, I put it in my phone notes, and then I sit and try and write it out. But I think for the hours that I've invested sitting trying to type stuff out in relation to the material that I've gotten from it, it's been such a waste of time.
Okay.
Like, I can only think of...
Was it you that said that you do like comedy November, comedy December?
Yeah,
was that? Yeah, cool, right. I thought that was you. It was on a podcast.
Yeah, I do. I've got like in my phone notes every month I start a new like comedy month, and let's have a look at what's in comedy November right now.
Let's do it.
We've got there's shit, like it doesn't matter how shit the observation is, I write it down. So the 90s were a mad time for song lyrics. There was a song that just said, I'm horny, 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 horny. So horny, 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 horny. I'm horny, horny, horny tonight. Yeah. I'm sure that's been done by someone else before. These are so shit that I don't even want to read them out.
See, before you go on, does it offend, like, originality has kind of gone by the wayside with the TikTok and Instagram generation, where people will just blatantly steal jokes and steal bits and do the exact same joke, but it's them filming it. and then just not address it in the comments, and it fucking infuriates me.
Bang out order, yeah.
And there's even like stand-ups doing like Gary Delaney jokes and Bill Burr jokes, and they're posting clips of it. I'm like, how are you like, surely to God, but no one calls them out because you don't want to ruin someone's career. But you know what I mean? Like, does that bother you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's bang out of order. But like at the same time, I think I'm too much of a bitch to not call it out.
Yeah.
I mean, to call it out, I wouldn't be like, I would see it happen and I'd be like, oh, I think that's a Bill Burr joke.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have the balls to write in the comments, you've stole this.
It is crossing a line a wee bit, like saying, because you don't know if they meant to or if it was
exactly, yeah.
If they just thought of it parallel thought, or if it was just sitting in the back of their mind and then they did it and it was a mistake. But
if it's, I'm sure it's happened where it's been someone I've known and I've pointed out.
Yeah, that's
very similar.
Virgin
to,
on.
Like I write with a good friend of mine, Daman Bamra, and we go over like ideas that each other has and stuff. And I think there's been once or twice he's had an idea for a bit, and I've been like, that's actually been done by such and such. But it's just through parallel thought. He wasn't like stealing it or anything. So probably like sometimes it can be parallel thought, but you can tell when it's been stolen.
Yeah.
Like when there's been no creativity added, like they've just gone for, or like the very most basic level of creativity has been added.
Yeah.
To make it into something different.
It's changing a couple of things. But yeah, that does my head. I've seen it like, not a lot, but like 5 or 6 times.
Do you go?
No, I don't, because it's also like, you're putting yourself out there as like, right, okay, buddy, it's me against you. Like, I'm putting your career in jeopardy if you're a full-time comedian. And it's just, why? Yeah. I mean, like, most of the time, say if it's like from a famous comedian, it's like people are going to pick up on it themselves. Maybe there's a lot of people thinking the same as us, like, I don't want to call out, but I don't like that guy anymore or something like that. But yeah, it does put me off him. And bots, there was a comedian I saw, obviously I won't name them, they did a set and it was a couple of Gary Delaney jokes about like a band name and stuff like that, like Placebo, and it's like The Cure, that joke, right? And then all the comments were like, best joke ever, hilarious joke, hilarious joke. And I was like, who's saying that? Went in and they were all bots, like bot accounts. I'm like, are you paying for fake comments on a stolen joke? Wow. Like, what is going on?
There's the comedy world is a dark place. Yeah. Like there's a lot of egotism and like just the way it exists now is you have to show off online. Like you have to put clips up and like ram it down people's throats that you're like, look, I'm good at this. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? You've got to do it like I do it like because you've got to do it. And you've got to be like, oh look, I did this bit of crowd work. Look at me, I was really funny to that guy. Like you'd never do you that.
Struggle like with the posting and that? Yeah.
Well, it's just a wanky thing, isn't it? To be like, look at this funny thing I said to this person. Yeah. But it's like, it's part of the job now. Like the people that do that sell way more tickets than the people that don't do it. Yeah. Because you've got to do it. And that builds you a following and all of that. But it just feels wanky. Like obviously it feels wanky, but like, do you know what I mean? To come off stage and go, oh yes, I filmed that bit where and I do it. I come out, I'll be like, oh, that bit where I said that to that guy, I'm gonna clip that up and put that out. Yeah. And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah. I suppose it kind of immortalizes it as well. That's like your mini, rather than where it used to be, or you work up to like a special, like an HBO special back in the day. Yeah. Whereas now it's like that 10 seconds of gold is like your little mini specials and you get 40 of them. That's probably more valuable to a comedian now than like a special on YouTube that will get like 5,000 plays or something like that. You get 1 million people watching a clip and that's going to sell more tickets.
It's such a weird, it is a very weird time. But like just the showing off about it is just...
Right, okay.
I find that like just difficult, I guess.
So you find it more... Because it's the same experience for an audience member that's watching you do crowd work than it is for someone watching it on their kind of the same, watching it on their phone. So it's not like, it's still you performing, but just a wider audience rather than you. Like, I wouldn't see you share crowd work and be like, showing off, what a wank. I'd be like, oh, cool, that's a good bit of crowd work. I'm glad I got to see that.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, a lot of it is self-conscious. It's funny as well, crowd work doesn't really translate to... There's like little subtle things that don't work right. Like when you're doing crowd work, you need to repeat what the audience member you're speaking to has said so that the people in the back know what they've said.
Right.
Whereas when it's in a video, you don't need to because you've put a subtitle for what they've said,
right, okay.
and everyone can hear what that audience member said. And so then it kind of slows the video down, you doing the thing for the live audience, going, oh, you work in finance, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they don't, like, in an ideal world, the clip wouldn't have you repeating the thing, but the room needs you repeating the thing.
Yeah.
So there's little things that don't quite work. And I wonder if, I don't know, talking shite.
I wonder if what?
I don't know. If like folk are only in the mind of the clip when they're doing the crowd work.
Right, if people are changing how they do it.
Because you kind of feel like that as well. I don't know. There's just something about it that feels icky. To be like, oh, I did a funny thing. I'm going to put that out there and show everyone how funny and clever I am.
Yeah. Do you find that with podcasts as well? Like if someone's doing, say like a comedian's quite obviously doing a bit at the start of a podcast. Usually at the start when they come in hot and they're doing a bit and pretending they're coming up with this conversation, you're like,
do you know what I find funny about podcast clips? You can make a podcast clip that goes viral just by both of yous laughing.
Yeah.
If
you're enjoying it.
Yeah. If I just say something and you go, ah, and then I go, ah, and then like so many podcast clips or someone saying something that's like, someone saying something that's like very, like slightly funny. But the host's going fucking mental over it.
Yeah, a good laugher is very important, isn't it?
Yeah. And those make massive clips that get loads of views, and everyone's like, oh, I say this as well, and whatever. And you're like, it's just two guys amping up, they're laughing at each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've probably done that at some point.
But I think like, obviously this is like 4 episodes into the kind of new setup of the podcast, but I found obviously I prepare a wee bit, like ask about Belmont, ask about the Burger King, whatever. But having just a normal conversation, and I do forget that there's a camera there, which really helps because it is awkward as hell. If you look at the camera, you're like, oh shit, I'm doing this, haven't I? But I think we used to try and like structure it and be like, oh, that's that might be funny. And then you just sit and you sweat and you're like, oh God, this is painful. Whereas just having a normal conversation. And people seem to like resonate with it because it's like you feel like you're part of a conversation, just have it on in the background if you're like whatever doing the dishes or something, and not force anything.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
totally.
Don't know where I was going with that. Your November notes.
You want more November notes?
See, when I was doing Viv G, let me try and find it. Because I listened to a podcast ages ago, I think when I first reached out, and I was like, that's clever with the notes. Toby, hold on. Will be 15. I copied you. We might just cut this whole bit out.
Do you do notes as well anytime you ever thought?
Not now, but when I was trying to write, say if Breaking the News was on, or I was trying to write for something, or there's a guy, Sean, sometimes we'll like write together. He's got a bit of stand-up that he's like, how can, like, any ideas for like tags or like twisting bits around. That's been dead fun. And there's one he did and sent me a video of like a joke that he did. And it was like a bit that I'd added. Right. I got a laugh. I was like, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, that's such a buzz.
Maybe I won't do Comedy October. That's my note. Shaving your pubes is like flossing your teeth. I rarely do it. It's quite scary and there's usually blood. Shit. Yeah, I'm not going to read anything there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like some of these I will never say out loud.
There's one I had. Do you watch Harry Mack? You know, the guy that does the freestyle raps and he's like fucking incredible. He takes like 5 words and just makes this amazing rap.
No.
You need to watch him. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Right.
Like it's the most talented person you've ever seen. If you watch, like it blows your mind. And I had one about if I was on a Harry Mack video and he just comes up, like everyone gets right into it and is like doing the dance like that, and I was like, I would be so self-conscious. Like I would get a wee beamer and be like hardly dancing at all. I would just fucking ruin the whole vibe of the video. Especially hip hop dancing. Like American folk, like no matter what like race or ethnicity you are, they're all like just proper getting into it. I would crumble.
I'm too uncool for that. I'd be too smiley.
Yeah.
Like you can't be smiling doing hip hop dancing. It doesn't look right. I'm too smiley. That's my problem. I can't ever be cool. I can't like see someone and be like that.
Yeah.
If I see anyone, like
that's such a specific thing to be bothered about.
Yeah, so I can't. I've never been that cool. I'm like, oh hi, how you doing?
But you can make you can go on stage and make like a whole room laugh and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Occasionally.
With real stories as well.
Yeah, I suppose, but yeah.
One thing, because there was another special you had that I just saw this morning. When you first search your name, it doesn't come up. And then it was like hidden in YouTube. But it was like a set, I think it was like a few years after. And I watched, and there was a joke you changed from your dad, like in Shania Twain, to your dad, like in Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Was there any reason for that change, or was you just trying something different?
I thought of a joke about the Backstreet Boys.
Right, okay.
I don't even think my dad listens to the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, really? You just doing them dirty?
He knows the song. I'm just doing them dirty. You can lie in comedy.
Yeah.
That's fine. Nobody's ever going to sue me for saying my dad listens to the Backstreet Boys.
Does he drink Malibu?
He does drink Malibu.
Okay. I'd have been so sad if that wasn't true.
That's very true. But the Backstreet Boys, I just had a bit about the Backstreet Boys, and I just wanted to somehow shoehorn it into my set, and so I changed it to my dad listens to the Backstreet Boys.
And that's a lie, damn.
It's a lie. He does listen to a lot of... Do you know what? Once he disciplined me because I didn't like the song Life is a Roller Coaster by Ronan Keating.
Really?
He couldn't comprehend how... He thought it was an act of rebellion. He was like, you do like that song. You must like that song. It's a brilliant song. I'm like, I don't like that song.
And you're going to cover it in Lloyd.
But yeah, no. And I've tried talking about that on stage, but for some reason, stuff that's funny in real life doesn't get a laugh. I don't know.
Right, okay.
Like maybe it's because that's already funny. It's hard for me to make it funny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like, so he likes like Ronan Keating and stuff. So it's not a world away from the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, that was just, I had an idea about the Backstreet Boys. Just wanted to.
As a great line.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going on with the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
What is going on with them? But no.
So in terms of like moving forward, are you more focused on like TV work? Would you like to do like a stand-up special? What are your like, or I suppose like you're a dad now, you just focus on that, or have you got like other ambitions?
Yeah, I've got too many things on the go right now. Stand-up is my passion. Mm-hmm. Like it's the thing that I love doing more than any of the like writing and directing in the job or anything. But realistically, stand-up as a career, as a guy with 2 kids, is just it's not gonna become my full-time career, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing it as much as I can. Don't really know where I'm taking it. I'd love to make a special. So that's definitely something in the like future. But it would just be like a YouTube one that I fund myself. Yeah. I'll do that at some point. I'll do a run at Edinburgh, I think, in a couple of years, maybe, when I can get away from the family for a month. Mm-hmm. But even that, it's all just like... And you don't want to just now, if it's is that what you're meaning? I can't do it just now, just can't. Don't have the... I was trying to throw you a bone just in case your partner says you don't want to do it. I don't want to. Yes, not interested right now. I'm loving family life too much. She won't watch this. She has no interest in this side of my life. Sorry, nobody does. Nobody does. I just do it to meet people. You're not even recording. No. I'll do that stuff. Yeah, and the job's fun as well. The job, like, I just make ads for TV shows, though. I don't do, like, I'd rather do the actual TV shows. Right. But again, I don't know how... I'm very, like, I've worked for a very long time at a very specific, weird job. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not quite... It's like, I write and direct stuff, but I don't, like, direct actual TV. Yeah. It's kind of ads, but it's not really ads. Uh-huh. It's like for like TV channels, like promos. So it's not like I'm out in the ad world, like learning all of that. And it's kind of mainly for one brand, like mainly for like Dave or Gold or whatever. Yeah. And so I've kind of been doing that so long that I'm so specialized in that like it's hard to think of how I would break out into anything else. I'll probably end up back at Burger King at some point. Yeah, we shirt and tie for you. Yeah. That's cool though that you've, apart from the stand-up, it's still comedy like adjacent, doing you're still meeting comedians, you're still doing all that stuff. That's awesome to have found that work. It's weird now because the two worlds combine a lot now. Yeah. Because like there's like Fatih Al Ghori is a stand-up She's been in a few Dave shows.
Okay.
She's just recorded live at the Apollo, and a few she's done a fair bit of TV work. She's getting to be a bit of a name, but she's someone who I gigged with at the very start.
All right, okay.
And there's loads of them actually. There's Vittorio I've known for many years, and Dan Tiernan. As well as another one who's on loads of stuff now, who I know from before all that. And so it's weird now that the two worlds, like my comedy life and my work life, are now kind of meeting. Fatia will come into the office and I'll talk to her, and the people,
that's cool. Yeah.
How does Martin know Fatia? Do you know what I mean? But it's through that. So it's kind of cool that both are crossing
and it's a creative job, whereas a lot of comedians will have to do something miserable on the side to being able to do it.
But I do feel like I put myself out there for failing at being funny constantly in my life. In my day job, I can fail at being funny. If I haven't written something funny, I get that feedback loads. People will be like, "Oh, this isn't funny enough," or whatever.
Okay.
And then at night I go on stage and then I can fail at being funny again.
Right, okay.
And so there's just never any time off from failing at being funny.
If you bomb at one, does it bleed into the other one's confidence?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Because if you don't, I get that. I'm like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
I'm I should just get a job in a bank and.
No, don't do it. Kills you.
You wrestle with self-doubt all the time.
Yeah.
And I get that.
I did that last night. I posted a video and I was just like, has anyone got photos? Has anyone got questions for Martin Graham? And did a big fart. Then I was like, most people are going to watch this.
Fart?
Yeah, right at the end. I was like, I did that. And then a lot of people were viewing it and there was just 0 likes. And I was like, oops. I was like, maybe folk are you're fucking in your 30s, mate, what are you doing? So I was just like, okay.
I'm kind of insulted. Does anyone have any questions for fucking shitty Martin?
But that's how I thought it might be portrayed. I was like, shit, even he might watch that and be like, why is he farting after questions? Is he just saying I don't give a fuck? So
I didn't have the sound on. I didn't even know. I didn't even register that you'd even made it. What, did you make a little orgasm-y fart face?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't
creepy
even notice
smile.
that.
Oh, there you go. I was overthinking that as well.
Yeah. Oh, I do that. I put stuff out and then delete it within an hour if it's got 3 likes from the people that always who just
solid
support
sympathy likers. Yeah.
You're like, oh no, this is a failure. No, I think you have to wrestle with a lot of self-doubt as a person trying to be funny, and you just have to I know now that I can do stand-up because I've done it so many times over the years.
Yeah.
I used to be really apologetic about it anytime anyone found out I was a stand-up.
Oh, did you?
I'd be like, oh, but don't worry, I'm shit at it. Do you know what I mean? I used to be because I felt like if I owned it or was confident about it, they'd be like, oh,
you're a wank.
Fancies himself. This.
Yeah. I'm like that with the podcast. I always put it down. And a couple of my pals are like, stop doing that. Just it's cool you've met Still Game guys, just own it.
Totally.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's still shit. I'm getting whatever.
You say that. Yeah, you say but that's I couldn't put something out that got 100 views. I don't think.
What do you mean that as in that's embarrassing?
No, I couldn't live with myself.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't waste my fucking
genuinely,
time.
You're consistently putting out stuff that 100 people are watching.
Yeah.
That's not nothing.
Yeah.
That's good, and you're building it, and you get the Still Game guys and stuff. I think
met
that's
cool
folk
folk and friends, and
the
photography side's been dead fun. So it's definitely the reward outweighs the cringe.
But it is a very British thing that we have to be apologetic about it, or there's just an awkwardness about doing something, and I feel like stand up is it's such a weird thing because you are kind of it's weird. I never thought I was funny. I never was people need to hear me.
Yeah.
But for some reason I started doing stand-up. Probably just 'cause I loved comedy. But it feels like when you tell people that you do stand-up, or when people find out, you assume that they
think,
he thinks I'm funny.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It never was that. And I think I'm really unfunny and incredibly boring as a person.
I was going to say.
Yeah, no,
I'm joking.
No,
not at all.
But I don't light up a room in real life. I don't think.
Right.
And so I've always like it's weird when people find out that I do comedy and then having to like, I can own it now because I know that I've done it enough times now that I do have a skill set at it or something. But like for the first few years,
So what, you must have an idea in your head of what a comedian would be. Because let's say, for example, I'm trying to think, Jack D, he's not going to light up a room. He's a great comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, he might light up a room, but he doesn't seem like he would. Bill Burr probably just sits and chills in the corner, and you see him on like, if there's like a panel show, he's not the one that's like, unless something winds him up, he's not the one that's lighting up a room. So like, Jink, you've got this idea you can't shift in your head of you need to be like Lee Evans or something like that? Or?
I think it's more what I worry people perceive, people on the outside perceive a comic to be. Because like now that I've been in it so long, I know comics who are like everything, every kind of person. But I guess I'm just second guessing what an outsider would think when they hear I do comedy.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, this guy thinks he's funny, or this guy like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Who is that person that you're worried about thinking?
Anyone.
Anyone. Yeah. Does someone like pop in your mind when you're imagining those negative like criticisms?
Most people I meet, most people who find out I do, it's happened so many times over the years, and they're like, oh, Martin does comedy. And they're like, oh, do you? Do you do comedy? Oh, yeah. Tell us a joke. All of that. And then you're like, oh, it's not really how it works. Like, I don't really...
Yeah, they tell us a joke. That's a fucking wank. Like,
yeah. I always try and run ideas for bits past Sarah, my partner.
All right.
And thank fuck she's there, by the way, because she has stopped so many terrible ideas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She quite good taste. Like,
well, she just... Sometimes you have to say it out loud to someone as well before you say it on stage. Because, like, I'll say something to her and she'll be like, no, never say that. Or, like, I'll realise as I'm saying it that I'm not articulating it the way that I think it is in my head. Yeah. And if it weren't for her, I would go on stage and say it to people, to a room full of silence, which happens all the time anyway. I like bombing. I would far rather do a whole set of new material that all bombs than do a set of the stuff I know works that gets big laughs.
All right.
Yeah, totally.
Just for the rush of trying new stuff?
Because, it's I'm being creative. I'm not being creative if I'm just going out and reciting the stuff that I've already worked on.
I think that's the side of stand-up that seems like strange, is even if you're in a bad mood and you're doing the same jokes but just tweaking wording, and you can mess up, or you say and then the whole thing's off kilter.
Yeah.
And you're just it's
I got stand-up it's so cruel. Like sometimes you can just trip over a word and it ruins a punchline. It's so annoying, like, because anyone can trip over a word, even if you've said it like 100 times. Yeah. You can still just anything that's slightly off totally derails your punchline. You're like, no, that usually works. I just don't usually stutter at that point.
Or like someone in the crowd shouts out in the middle of it. I've seen you see comics get pissed off, like, oh, you just fucking derail my fucking joke. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that happens. I get so many heckles. I've noticed I get heckled every gig. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think it's something about you, like...
I think it's... People say it's a pre-pandemic thing because people are excited to be out again, but I think that's probably past now.
Yeah.
It's, I think people also think it's like a Reels thing. People want to be involved so that like they'll get in clips and stuff. I'm not sure if it's totally that either. I think like for me, it's people who don't understand how to be in a comedy audience. Right. Because I never get like mean heckles or anything. I never get like, oh, when's the Comedy Star or anything like that. Yeah. But like you get people like trying to get involved, being like, oh, he does that. Or like, they'll just shout a random word that you've just said, or like or like, what happened? God, there was one horrendous heckle where I talked about I had a daughter, and then there was a woman in the back that went, "What's her name?" And I was like, "Why do you need to don't like?" If I want to tell you her name, I'll tell you her name. Why do you care what her name is? And then, but she shouted that, which was bad enough. And then another guy a few rows in front of her went, "Maddie." And I was like, is that a Madeleine McCann joke? Oh, right. Like, it was horrendous. And so I'm there now in this situation where I've been taken out of my material. I've got to
address a shit conversation.
Come up with a funny reason why I'm not telling this lady her name. And then I've got to go to this guy and be like, I'll do the jokes, mate. Like, this is, you can't make a Madeleine McCann joke in the middle of my fucking set. And then the audience think I've brought Madeleine McCann up. Because they're all uncomfortable. It's as if I've mentioned her. Like, do you know what I mean? I never would go near that subject. This guy did it, and now I have to clean up his mess. And so like stuff like that happens every gig now. I'm finding, and I don't know why it is, but sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's brilliant. Like, I think the best way to deal with a heckler is just to genuinely react to what they're saying.
Okay.
Because if they're always like, there's always something funny in your reaction. If you
like a look or something, or
if they've said something, like, just reacting to the fact that they've interrupted you in a funny way, not being like, don't interrupt me, you prick. Like, maybe you can, but I can't do that because I'm not an alpha. Like, but if you just kind of react to what they say in like an exaggerated way, like if they've said something fascinating, you're like, what? Like, or if they've said something weird, you'd be like, why have you said that? If you kind of get in that, you can always kind of get out of it. Mm-hmm. But I get it all the time, man. Every gig.
How do you feel about getting asked stuff if you're in the crowd? I know, like, they say comedians usually stay at the back, but if you happen to be at a gig and someone talks to you, you're like, oh God, please don't talk to me. Or because especially you saying comedian, that's like the crowd's automatically like, boo.
I've never sat near the front watching comedy for a long time. I don't know how I would cope. I think I would be as shy as anyone else. I don't think I would be. I don't think I'd have any kind of immunity to the weirdness of it just from being a comic myself. I think I'd be just as scared as anyone. And I would sit at the back. And I would also, like, because that's an awkward one, because you don't want to be funny. Like, that's another thing that happens is people try and be funny.
Yeah.
And you're like the Maddie guy or whatever. You've got to be like, I'll do the jokes. And so you don't want to try and be funny. Just if it ever happened, I would just talk to them honestly, like a civilian, and let them move on. Yeah. Do you go to a lot of comedy?
Now, mainly now to, like, say there's a couple of people like Mikey or Sean, whatever, I've met through the podcast, and just go and support them. I try to, everyone that I have on, I try to not be full of shit and go and actually support them. Like, I've got a bit of Dave's art. I've been to see like Sean, Billy, Chris Thorburn a few times. I try and actually like support them because they've all been class and coming on the podcast, which you didn't need to do and all that stuff. Definitely need to catch one of your sets. Like, that'd be good. But yeah, I've been to a few more recently through that. I think the last one I went to was Mikey doing the Sausage King bit.
Is that Mikey Motion?
Aye.
Oh, cool.
I
don't know him, but I know him through Instagram.
Right,
We've followed each other for a long time.
Right, yeah, he's brand new. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude.
Yeah, so he's got a character where he's like a sausage dealer before it went legal or something like that.
Right.
It's just a mad character, but I've seen his like actual stand-up as well. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
But,
cool, man.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it, but yeah, the folk ask me stuff in the crowd work. I hate it. I just think I'm maybe the same as you. I think I'm the most boring guy ever, and it's just gonna. It's like you're gonna tie yourself in knots trying to extract something out of me. It's like no, you don't realize how boring.
You're a gold mine. You're an absolute gold mine. You've got a podcast. You've got.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't give that up easily. You'd have to pry that out of me. That would be an instant boo from the crowd.
You work for like a digital startup. Is that what this is?
ISO, like branding, logos, websites, marketing. But that's only this week.
Right.
I was in banking for 9.5 years until Wednesday. Wednesday was my first day here.
Right.
And then just
now
making the most out of the office.
Because banking's not a rich like comedy gold mine, but this would get you some. You'd be fine if you got spoke to.
Yeah, I think I'll be all right now.
Yeah,
I'm more like
a mustache.
Yeah, bro. Well, I was fine. I was hoping that Toby was nearby. And I was hoping I would just get him to come in with like a broom and get revenge on you for the keep around. And that'd be a good end to the podcast, but I don't know where he is.